All right, guys, so I wanted to just kind of summarize what it was that we were trying to take out of this activity. So I think some of you kind of picked up on it, but a lot of us really didn't. And so I wanted to come back to this and talk about what happened here and why we need to take this information to help us move forward. Okay, so if you kind of went through this, essentially what you were looking at was that all of these first inequalities were true statements. So 1 is less than 4, -4 is less than 6, -1 is less than 5, -3 less than 3, -2 less than 10, and 2 is less than 8. Okay, so we marked all of these true. It then said to take your first inequalities and apply these actions to move to a new inequality. Okay, so looking here, it says to add 3 to both sides. So if I add 3 to 1, I get a 4. And if I add 3 to the 4, I get a 7. So my new inequality is 4 is less than 7. Okay, so what you were being asked then here was to then determine, after you applied all of these actions and got the new inequality that matched with it, okay, you were then trying to see, well, is my inequality still true or is it not true anymore? Okay, so looking at this, adding 3, giving me 4 is less than 7, that is still a true statement. Okay. Then I come over here. Here it said to subtract 3 from both sides. So -4 minus 3 is a -7, and 6 minus 3 is 3. So I see -7 is less than 3. That is still a true statement. Okay. Multiply both sides, and that gave us -2 is less than 10. That is still a true statement. Okay. Multiply both sides by -2. So taking this initial equality, taking both sides, multiplying them by a -2, I end up with this inequality: 6 is less than -6. Okay, well, that is not a true statement because a negative number is going to be less than that positive number. Okay, so we see that here, this one came out to be false after applying that action. Okay, here, divide both sides by 2. Okay, so dividing both sides up with 2, I end up with -1 is less than 5. True statement. Okay, and then this last one here, divide by both sides by -2. So taking this inequality over here and dividing by -2, I get a -1 is less than a -4. Okay, if you think about a thermometer or a vertical number line, you have -1 here and -4 over here. But also, if you kind of think about this number line that I provided you up here to kind of help you, -1 would be right there and -4 would be over there. And we kind of learned that anything is more to the left is less than. So -4 is actually less than -1. So that would make this last one a false statement. Okay, so I have 2 times here where doing an action to my inequality made the statement false, and all the other times it kept it true. Okay, so we came to these questions here on slide 2, and it says, which specific actions or operation caused the first inequality to become false? So if we come back up here, the two actions, that caused it to become false, okay, if we look at it right here, multiplying both sides by a -2 and dividing both sides by a -2. Okay, so we can think, okay, well, multiplication and division, but there's some more specifics to it. When I just multiplied by 2, it still stayed true. And when I divided by 2, it stayed true. So focusing in on, well, what was specific about these 2 actions? Well, it was multiplying and dividing, but by a negative value. Okay, so anytime we multiplied or divided by a negative number, it made that inequality statement false. Okay, so then I come back to slide 2, and it says, without changing the action, what could be done to the new inequality to make it true? Okay, well, we know that both of these are my ones that aren't true. Okay, so if I wanted to make them true, well, I know that 6 is actually greater than -6. So I can take that inequality symbol and flip it the other direction, right? Then 6 is greater than -6 would be a true statement. And same thing on that -1, -4. If I flip that symbol, -1 is greater than -4, and that would make that true. Okay, so to kind of summarize here, what specific actions or operations caused us to have a false inequality? Okay, so anytime we multiplied or divided by a negative number. Okay, so it's not just multiplying and dividing, but multiplying and dividing by a negative number. And then the way to make it true, okay, without changing the action, so still multiplying and dividing by the negative number, but to make the statement now true, we are going to reverse the inequality symbol. Okay, or title of the lesson, why do we flip the inequality? So we can say reverse or flip the inequality symbol. Let me know if you have questions.